Hello. It's like my fourth time actually trying to record this. I'm gonna try to speed through this, in a good way. So, what we have here, a quick tutorial over how I do the backgrounds for Capstone. Um, I'm gonna be trying to go a little in depth without really trying to drag this on for too long. So what we have here is a very blank canvas. All we have are is the color palette that we're going to be using. We have our reference shot, which for today we're going to be using Reese's shot, and we're going to be redoing it. Sorry, Reese. And next, I have our assets. So what I've been doing, this is just like a step-by-step guide on how I'm going to be doing, for the most part, all the backgrounds, and any of these little tips and doodads that I use in this recording can be applied to any background for the most part, just with a few tweaks here and there. So to get started, let's talk about what we're going to be. So real quick, obviously the backgrounds are going to be split up into the middle ground with all the fancy stuff, foreground with all the fancy stuff, the middle ground that kind of sets up our shot, and then the background, which is for the most part our assets that we have. So we don't have to worry too much about the background. This depends on the shot. So what we're going to be doing is this shot. So, okay. I'm trying to think of what all. Okay, so right off the bat, for our line art, I'm going to be going up to, where are you? 15. This is a 1920 by 1080 canvas. And I am using the Ink 4 pen rough tool. It gives this very, very like rough, kind of nice little texture to it. It's a very textured brush. This is really for only if we want to continue going with a textured brush. I really can't remember if we do or don't. If we don't want to, because I think McNulty was against it, then I'll make a whole different thing for what pen we use. We could honestly just use I don't know, just one of these. It's nice, it's whatever. Still has like its pen sensitivity. That's another thing too. The pen that I'm using, this pen, is very sensitive. It's got pressure sensitivity. So the lighter you go, the darker you go, or harder you go, the difference is going to show. For foreground, we're going to be using 15. It looks like this. Boop, boop, there's a rock. For the middle ground, I'm going to go down to 10. For the middle ground, we're going to be using the same pen, just with a size 10. Just so the max pressure that we show looks like this. When the 15 looks like this, right here. Look at that. Boom. Doesn't even look kind of the same. That's our middle ground. That's going to be the shot that sets up a little scene. Add a little bit of detail there. And then for the background, if we need to use anything like that, I don't know about a size 5. It kind of varies. We don't really need to worry about the background because, like I said, we have our assets, so we might not even need to worry about like a pen size. But if we do, then we'll figure one out. But for the most part, foregrounds, size 15 and up. Sorry, not up, just size 15 for this specific pen, the Ink 4 pen. And then for the backgrounds, the middle grounds, we bumped that down to size 10. Woohoo! Woo! The only reason we do that is, for obvious reasons. It's less distracting because we want the foreground to have the most presence, and a thicker line art helps us with that presence. So, all right, let's just get into it. We're taking our reference. What I'm gonna do, actually, here's what I do. Here's what I did. I took the reference. Here's our reference. Let's say this is an Unreal shot. Let's say this isn't Reese's, and let's say it's an Unreal shot. What I did was I lowered the opacity. I imported all my assets, and how I have them separated is through different little folders, little subsection folders. You don't have to do it this way. This is how I did it though. And where I go from here is, you know, I have the foreground, I have the little mini mountains, and then I have the folder with the actual individual mountains, and I have them all on their own, and I just move them accordingly. For the most part, they will kind of have an order. We'll get to that when we do later in the film. And then for the clouds, I have them. We can be a little more freeform about the clouds, because they're clouds. They move freeform. They move. They're organic. So we don't really have to have a whole lot of control over how they look necessarily, or how they're ordered. So what I did for the clouds is, you know, I kind of set them up, whatever. And then what I did is to kind of help with that organic look for them, because like right now they're all individual assets, and right now what you can see is, you know, how they're separated. Oh my gosh, you can see how they're separated like this and then like this, and that's really about it. And we don't want them to look like that because, you know, it looks a little obvious. It's a little distracting, not really a whole lot, but this is a really easy, just simple solution to that I did. Was I did it here on this little thing. I open a little layer above all the clouds, above all the cloud layers. This is for Krita again. I color drop the shaded part, and I go in and I literally just color it all willy-nilly. It's taking too long. I color it all willy-nilly, and look at that, it's one organic cloud. Same over here. Boop. Whoa, this looks so good. Cool. So that's our background assets. One thing to keep in mind is, depending on the shot, is finding the horizon line. So for this shot, let's say this is the Unreal shot again. The horizon line is, let me raise that. It's there we go. It's this little green part right here. Whoops, you can't see that. It's this little green part in the back. That's the grass. It's horizon line. So what we want to do is, when we have our assets imported, we take the Unreal shot above all the assets, lower the opacity, like, I don't know, enough to where you can see the little horizon line here. So right here, like right about there. We take our foreground grass, which is this stuff, that one. We take it and we just move it up, and there we go. Now we have our horizon line. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing. You don't always have to do this. Just good to keep in mind your horizon line and keep in mind where everything's at, so everything looks good and consistent. Everything, whatever. So cool. We have our stuff. Now we get to actually do the meat and potatoes of it all. So what we're going to be doing, what we're going to be starting with is we'll start with the middle ground. So what we're going to do is, so we take our Unreal shot again. Here, let me I turn off the visibility for the assets just so I can focus on the Unreal shot. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start with the middle ground. So what's in the middle ground is the fence and the back part of the dirt, and that's it. So what we're going to do is go to our color pick tool. We're going to start with the wooden post, right? We're going to color pick the outline first, and close that. We're going to move this, put our actual color line above the reference image. We're going to keep it, you know, lowered 50, 40%, whatever. And then all we're really going to do is we're going to go in here and we're just going to draw it. Now for stuff like this, for this shot, we can use modular assets that I'm going to provide, because we can scale it. And for shots that we have the modular assets in, it's fine to scale them, only because they're going to be blurred. If they weren't going to be blurred, then we wouldn't want to scale them, and we would probably want to redraw them, just because if we scale them, the pixelation is going to show, and we don't want that for our backgrounds, especially for how high quality we're wanting to make this. So, okay, so I'm just going to draw our little wooden plank. We're gonna add a little shape to it. You know, our film is goofy. It's pretty funny. And keeping in mind, the pen size is at 10.30, whatever. It just says 10. Just because it's the middle ground. And so boom, and boom, we got our first wooden plank. I'm gonna add just like a little bit of detail. Actually, wait. For the detail inside of the actual objects, we want to make sure the line art for them is pretty thin, or at least thinner than the actual outline itself. Just so using Reese's background, for example, the line art is all consistent with the inner details here and then the outline here, and it's a little distracting. So we want to make sure that the outlines are at least thinner for the most part than the actual outline of the object that we're drawing. Cool. So now, this is a quick thing. So this is our first post. Cool, whatever. We have one outline layer. To color them, there's a little thing I do. So first off, we're going to take the color that we're using, the actual body. Now what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate the line art layer. So now we have two. Now we're going to take the bottom one, and we're going to take our paint bucket tool. And for Krita specifically, at least, when you take the paint bucket tool, typically it's gonna oh my gosh, it's gonna look like this when you color it. It's gonna look like this. It's gonna look bad. It's gonna have the empty pixels or whatever. To fix that, what we want to do is we take the paint bucket tool, we go up to the tool options, and we see the grow selection option, and we're gonna go up 1 pixel, and that, for the most part, solves our problem. Look at that. Wow, it looks so good. But another issue comes with the actual, oh my gosh, it looks like this. Well, to solve that, we make the duplicate line art. So we have 2 line arts, and we take the bottommost one and we color it. Now we could just do that with the regular standard one. If the paint bucket tool is at 0 pixels, we can just do that still, but it's still obvious. So that's why for the paint bucket tool, we just go up to tool options, we go up by 1 pixel, and then we can do it. And it looks good. It looks great. It looks filled in. Yeah, it's just like, that's just like an annoying thing we're gonna have to deal with. At least for using Krita. I don't know really how other drawing programs work aside from like Clip Studio, but Clip Studio is about the same. There's an easy workaround for that though. But cool. I'm gonna make the other 2 post real quick, and I'll pause real quick. All right, cool. We have all 3 fence posts now. And one thing I keep forgetting to mention is we want to keep perspective in mind for whatever backgrounds we are drawing. So, as you saw in the one that I uploaded to our Discord, as you might have noticed, I don't know if anyone did, but the planks on the right and left have a little bit of depth to them. They have that little bit of like this little stuff right here. That's a little bit of depth. And that's just something to kind of keep in mind. I'm sure the Unreal shots that we have will have that kind of depth where you can notice it, and then it'll be in your mind to draw it. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's nothing really complicated. It's just something to keep in mind. And same thing. 2 outlines, bottommost outline. We take the color tool, and then we take the paint bucket, and then we drop the colors in. Cool. Now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna make the wooden planks. I'll be right back. Alright, for the most part I have the wooden planks done, and I wanted to kind of point something out, is to kind of keep the line art depth consistent. So for example, actually let me just kind of get rid of that. So right now all we have are I'm gonna merge it, is the outline. So we have both oh my gosh, why did I do that actually? Wait, hold on. So we have both outlines. We have the wooden planks, and then we have the post. And when we know what we're going to be coloring, is we can just take so for depth, this post right here, for example, this back part is going to be behind the plank. So we can just erase that little part right here where the plank, where we know the color for the plank is going to go, and we just do that here. Same thing here. And we go over here, and we do the same thing here. Oop, and then same thing here. And for this plank, so for this main post, because it's dead center, what we don't want to do is have an outline for the plank, you know, kind of like right next to it, because then, you know, whenever we color it, it's just gonna look weird. So just to kind of keep the focus on, you know, whatever is like, you know, the main piece of the main subject of like the middle ground or whatever, or at least for the focal point, because this middle section is the point of interest. Not really the point of interest, sorry, the what's it called, the oh my gosh, the perspective thing. That's where all of the perspective is going, is towards the middle section here. Can't remember the name of it. Vanishing point, that's what I'm thinking of. Jesus, yeah, all the vanishing point is right here, dead in the middle. So whatever is in the middle, we kind of want it to kind of stick out, especially because you know, it's two different colored outlines. And, you know, depth is, these planks are, you know, it's behind the front. The front of this plank is behind the front of this post, just because of, you know, look at this, like, part here. It's behind it. So we have that whole outline here, but I didn't do these ones, the ones to the side yet, because we can, well, I don't know why I didn't do them. I can still add them. I'll add them to the same layer real quick. Alright, cool. So we have the line art for the fence completely done. Right now it's two separate layers, so I have the wooden posts as their own, and then the wooden planks as their own. And what I did really is, I did the same thing I did for this post, where the line art for the planks are not, you know, they're not next to this one, they're kind of just, they go into the plank itself. Same kind of thing for here, because the planks over here are going behind this, the face of this post. So that's really just something to keep in mind with depth. And if you have any questions about depth for a shot, for a background, either just look at the guide, the Unreal shot that you have, just, you know, reference that obviously, or just, you know, ask me or anybody else on the team if it looks right perspective wise or depth wise. So what I did was, wait, where'd it go? Oh, I guess it, sorry. Okay, yeah, I merged them. Okay, I merged the two. So now the wooden fence is one, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the post body color right here. I'm going to color drop it, go back. I'm going to take the line art layer, I'm going to duplicate it, take the bottom layer, and then for the fence post color that I color dropped, I'm just going to drop them in here, boop, and then I'm going to go back, and I'm going to take the plank, boop, color drop the body, I'm going to go in, dot, boop, and there we go. We have our colored fence, whatever. One other thing that, you know, okay, so right now, this is just, let me get that. This is level 1. I'm gonna be separating this into level 1, 2, and 3, and I will go over at the end what each one looks like in terms of detail. So right now, this is level 1. Cool. We have the fence post. Cool. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the dirt, and I'm gonna go in a layer, brand new layer above. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go in here. I'm gonna go to the dirt that we have, and I have a little highlight for the dirt here. This little thing. Dirt doesn't really shine, so we won't really need it unless it, you know, unless it can look good for a shot, which I mean, you know, won't really need it. Either way though, and you'll notice for the fence, I have these, you know, the little additional lines there. We don't want to see those obviously, but I just did those because we're not going to see them, because what we're going to do is in the Unreal shot that we have, we see where the line is, right? We see where that line is for the dirt. What we're going to do is kind of follow that. We're going to take the line tool, and we can go with a black just so it's visible. We'll start here, and on Krita, to kind of make a straight line, you start the pen, tool, you drag out, and and just your line. Hold Shift to kind of get the straight lines right there, and then you just drag and then let go, and you got a straight line. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to take the line out here, start here, and then drag out, whatever, and then hold Shift to actually get a straight line. Pull forward, and then there we go. That's our guide. That's our actual guide. The Unreal is our guide, but this line is the actual guide for the dirt that we're going to be using. So, and because I don't want the dirt to look too straight or off-putting, what I'm going to do is I have the guide, cool, but I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go in the dirt colored outline, and I'm going to go above it, and then I'm just going to loosely follow it, just so the dirt itself looks a little more organic, looks a little more like dirt, because in the actual shot, this is a little extra step, not really needed, mainly because it's going to be blurred out for the most part, but it's still a little bit of detail. It goes the extra mile, just to show that it's a little more passion towards it, and it helps. I think in the long run it'll help each shot when we put this kind of like effort in. Cool. So we have the line art done. Awesome. Now we can just delete the guide that we used. Cool. Now we have the outline for the dirt. And what I'm going to do, same principle as before, I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to take the bottommost layer. Actually, I'm going to colored pick the body of the dirt, and then I'm going to go back in, and then I'm going to color drop on the bottom layer for the line art, and there we go. Now we have our dirt. Cool. We have our dirt. Let's take that, and then let's do this. Whoa! We have our dirt with a shot. Awesome. Cool. So one other little bit of detail that we want to do is for the top layer. We have the outline for the dirt still picked. What we want to do is, just for a little bit of extra detail, is we want to kind of make these little dirt mounds. And we want to make sure for the outline of them, they aren't any bigger or even close to the same size as the actual outline here. Just because we don't, that's just a general rule for whenever you have outline stuff and detail inside of whatever you're drawing, is we don't want the line art to all look consistent, because it can make your piece look flat. It can be very distracting. That's just something we want to avoid. So, just a little extra step. Cool. Dude. Awesome. Cool. So now we have our middle ground done. This is done. Cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to combine it. So now the line art and the dirt color is one layer. The fence post, I'll combine those two. Well, no. We want to keep so for this, we want to keep the line art separate from the color, all of it. So, for example, for the fence, we have the line art. We have both layers, right? We have the top layer for the line art, and then we have the bottom layer that also has the line art, but it has the color inside of it. So we have two layers for the fence. Same thing for the dirt. And it's going to be, for the most part, same thing for everything, because we want to follow that level 1, 2, and 3 guide in terms of detail and lighting and shading. But that's for when, if we're able to get to it. So okay, cool. We have all of our stuff done. For a level, let me pause it real quick. Okay, so I've kind of come to the on-the-spot conclusion, and this will probably change in the future the more we talk about it. But for the level 1, 2, and 3 system that we have for our background detail, I think for the most part we can keep it. We can keep the goal to obviously being level 3. So so let's say we're on a time constraint. If we're on a time constraint and we need to have 2 or 3 backgrounds done for like 1 week, where we're presenting something, obviously we would want to kind of keep it at level 1 for the backgrounds and not put that much detail into it. So right now this would be a good level 1 to keep here, but what we'd want to do is, so for example, let's say, just say real quick, let's say we need to kind of push this out for whatever. Let's get it ready for After Effects. So we'll merge these. Actually, I'm sorry. We'll save it. We'll save it just to be safe. And so what we'll do is we'll take the pieces that we just made. We'll select them, right? We'll make a group for them. Boom, they're in a group. We'll duplicate the group. Boom, now we have two. We're gonna turn off one of them and then open up this one. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna combine the outline for the dirt with the color of the dirt. Whoops, I duplicated it. We're gonna combine the outline with the color, and same for the fence. We're gonna take the fence outline and merge with layer below with the color layer below it. So now the fence is one, the dirt is one. This is just for if we want to get our level 1 background done, like we need it out and we need a background ASAP. But this is we will have a backup. I highly encourage everyone to have a backup for your thing. Make a group like this. So where we have now we have the outline of the dirt and the color of the dirt separated, and the fence and the whatever. We have this separated. So this is right now level 1. We'll go with that. Well, this is level 1 for now. But we're not going to use it for this example. We're just going to keep. So actually, what we're going to do is we're going to go back in here, and we're going to add a layer, an additional bit of detail. It's nothing crazy. We're going to go into our color drop, and we're going to take our post, and we're going to take the shaded part. We're going to turn it off, and we're going to go back into our color layer for the fence. And we're going to go in on this side here that has the depth, and we're literally just going to add that shading. Cool. Yeah, that's all we're doing. Just adding the shading. Kind of meeting in the middle here for that bit of perspective. Go down. Cool. All right. Cool. We have that level 2 for our piece right here. So, at least for the middle ground, we have the shaded part here, and then we have the shaded part here. Now, obviously, whenever in real life, if we for following the background that we have here, the light source is coming from this direction because we can tell from the clouds and the mountains and the little mountains in the back. For the most part, it depends, especially if you understand how to kind of like play with shots and play with color in a shot. I think kind of breaking the rules a little bit helps enhance the shot, and it really varies. And I'm not an expert, obviously, but for this shot specifically, because I kind of want the interest to kind of lie in the middle, and because the interest is for the most part following in the middle of this shot, because that's where it is, and also our main interest is, the beetroot that's back here, that's over here. We can have a little fun, just because I think so. Okay, so real quick, I'm sorry, I keep rambling. If we want to follow the guide for where the light source is coming from, this section here would not even be lit, and it would just be regular schmegular. And I don't know. To me, I don't think it looks too good artistically, just because this side's shaded, this side's not, for obvious reasons. But like, we don't. I think stylistically, we can break the rules for just little stuff like that, just like lighting stuff. And this is really just like a level 2, whatever. It's not a big deal. It's like a little bit of shading here, and it kind of helps bring the focus of the background. The background isn't taking the spotlight, obviously, for the what's in the foreground, because the foreground is a beetroot. But for the middle ground itself, as its own separate, art piece, it adds that little bit of interest and depth to the shot itself. It's a little bit of symmetry in terms of where the shading is, and helps not distract the viewer, if that makes sense. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. All right, cool. We have our middle ground done. Level 2. Now we're going to do our foreground. We're going to go above us. This is our foreground. So now for the foreground, we're going to go up to 15. Cool, we're at 15 now. And what we have in our foreground is, all we have is the beetroot, some little specks and rocks on the ground, and whatever detail over the dirt mounds that we have in the front. So that's just what we're going to draw. So we're going to go in here and we're going to start with the beetroot. Actually, we're going to take the line art for the beetroot and we're going to close that, and we're going to take the thing here and thing here, and I turned off the middle ground because I did. Well, sorry, you can keep it on. Take the reference shot and then put it above here. It's a little confusing looking. I don't really like it. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it underneath there, turn it off, and cool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw over the beetroot. And for this, it depends on who's doing it and who's doing it for what reason. If you want to sketch it out and then clean it up for the background, you can. It's not a big deal. Cool. So for this, I'm taking that side and I have that side. Cool. What I'm going to do is, because I don't want it to look too asymmetrical, and because it's a beetroot, it's a fruit, it's a vegetable, Jesus. I'm going to take this little side that I drew and I'm just going to duplicate it, and I'm going to go over here to this little box. Boop. Now I have it selected. I can move it around, but I don't really want to move it around, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to click on it with my thing. I think with the mouse you can just left click it. Sorry, you right click it with the mouse, and then you go down here to mirror horizontal, and it just mirrors it horizontally. And then you can drag it over here to where it kind of needs to be, and there you go. Now you go over here and you merge it, the layer below, and now it's one concise little beetroot. Awesome. So now we have for the most part, the beetroot. We can go in here and we take the line art color that we're using and we add that little bit of detail. A little bit there. So I'm right here. And we kind of go back in. Go back in this side. And we go back in up here. We can be a little more freeform with this. Cool. Now we have the outline for our little beetroot body done. Want to make sure it looks clean, as clean as you can get it to be. And because it's in the dirt, what we want to do to kind of add that layer, that level of depth, is take the dirt outline, go back into the thing, and we draw where the dirt mound is kind of overlapping that beetroot. And cool. Boom. Boom. Whoops. Boom. Awesome. Awesome. Whoops. Cool. Let me just kind of fix that little bit there. Cool. Alright, cool. Now, we have the beetroot and we have the dirt. Cool. Now, for the leaves, we're just going to take the outline and we're going to follow the same process. I'm going to pause it real quick. Oh my gosh, it's not pausing. Was it not pausing? Hello? Can you pause? Alright, cool. We have the outline done for our leaves completed. And for the most part, we followed the guide here. All I gave, 2 little leaves, gave it the outline. Cool. I'm gonna go in here though, and I'm gonna fill out this little gap area, whatever. And for the leaves, just because I didn't feel like it, it's all one layer for the outline. No big deal. Cool. Now we can go in, boop, take the color, and what I can just do, just because it's just one object in the foreground, it's not really connected to anything else directly. We can just start coloring it from here. So we take the bottom layer, color, whoops, drop the color in there, take the base color for the leaves, get out, again, and we drop it, and cool. Level 1 is done for the most part. Awesome. Cool. That's, I guess, so, like I said, if we're in a time crunch and we need to just bust out backgrounds, this is level 1. this is where we'd be at. Sorry, actually, one last little bit of detail, because it's in the foreground, and we still want to add like a little bit of dirt mound, little dirt detail to it. This will help us in terms of depth. So we will just kind of go in here, just make like one, and then maybe two little dirt mounds. Awesome. Cool. So that's level 1. This is a basic, plain, detailed, not detailed, background. That's level 1. So what we can do now is take I'll take the 2 foreground objects, the colored piece and the line art for the foreground. I'm gonna select these 2. Oops. Select them and then hit. Sorry, I don't think I explained earlier. Control G makes a group in Krita, and so now they're in a group. Cool. This is just so for when we want to go back in and add detail, which is what we're going to do right now. So all we want to do for detail, really, okay, so, sorry, I'm all over the place. For level 2, very basic stuff, what we're going to start off with is, so let's pretend we shaded it. We added this little bits of shading here to the side, and now all we want to do is add a layer underneath the color for the foreground for this specific thing. This is very specific. Oh, I just realized. So in this shot specifically, we have the sun coming from this side because we have the shadow over here. So we're gonna take this whole background and we're gonna flip it. We're gonna mirror it, and now the light source is coming from the correct way for this shot. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in here. We're going to go to the dirt color drop, the shadow part. Go back here. Now we have our layer underneath the color for the beetroot, and this is because in the foreground the beetroot has a shadow on the dirt. Ooh, I'm sorry. Backtrack real quick. Go back in here. We're going to take the shadow of the beetroot, and then we're going to go in here. We're going to move the layer above the beetroot, the color of the beetroot. Between it's we're adding a layer between the line art and the color. So when we take the color for the shaded part, all we're doing is we're adding it. We're going based off. Actually, does he have it? Yeah, Reese does have it. We're following the shaded part that he has here. So in Unreal, this probably wouldn't be there, that kind of shadow. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go here and we're just going to follow it. Awesome. And I'll pause the video real quick. Alright, cool. So now we have the shaded part of our beetroot right there, in between the line art for the beetroot and the color for the beetroot. And what I also added was the shadow that the beetroot casts on the dirt itself. And for that, it's just understanding layers and how to layer properly. So for that, all I did was I made a layer underneath the beetroot, the whole beetroot itself. You know, I made a layer right underneath it, and I just added the shadow of where it would be. Nothing crazy, nothing complex. Just keeping that in mind, keeping in mind how to do layers. Now for the leaves, because it's like the leaves are a little complex because they're not like something hard like the beetroot. They're not going to cast an easy to follow shadow. So for the most part, what I would do is I would go into the color thing, select, so we have the beetroot. I'm going to select the shaded part of the beetroot, and I'm going to go on the layer that has the beetroot shading, and I'm just going to add that here because it just takes understanding where her light comes from. So if the sun is coming right here, the stem of the leaf itself is the most jutting part of it. And because with shading, we don't want to get like too detailed. We don't want to get like, you know, hyper detailed, because honestly if we did, we would like we would have like the lighting come from like follow along the stem here, and then we would have it like, you know, kind of cast down a little bit here, and then maybe we'd have like a couple shadowy bits like up here, whatever. We don't really want to do that. For the most part, we want to just kind of keep it simple. Despite this being level 2, we want the shading to be, for the most part, pretty simple. So all we're going to really do is run it down here. Boom. And something to keep in mind is that we want the shadows to kind of, what's the word? I don't remember what the word is, but we want the shadows to kind of connect, almost look like they're in one cohesive line. So that's what we did. It's exactly what I did with the dirt and the beetroot. We want them to look like they're connected because they are coming from the same object and they're being cast from the same light, so they kind of would just flow as one for the most part. So yeah, so just go down here. And boom. And we cast that just a little bit here. There we go. And then for this part here, for this stem, we can just kind of follow the same principle, really. Unless it looks bad, or it looks like it needs to be tweaked. We're gonna go up here. Cool. There we go. That doesn't look too bad. That is, so, level 2. That's level 2 for our whole shot. Let me get this. Boom. Level 2. Just a little bit of shading, actually, sorry, on top of level 2. I'm going to go back to the color, and we're going to take the highlight from the beetroot here, from the select. We're going to go back to the shaded little layer, and we're just going to add just a little bit of highlight. Cool. There we go. That doesn't look too shabby. I don't like how that looks, actually. Go back. There we go. Much better. Cool. Here we go. Awesome. That's level 2. So, just to reiterate. Let me do this. There we go. Level 1. No shading. Just line art and everything. Whatever. Level 2 has additional shading from the middle ground as well as the foreground, especially the foreground, with a little bit of, you know, highlights here and there for whatever object needs it. So that's that. Real quick though, what we're gonna do is, for this shot specifically, we want it to have more than just the beetroot, because in his garden itself it has more than just the beetroot. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna duplicate this group underneath here, and we're gonna shrink it. Oh, sorry, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna take specifically, shoot. Okay, so what we're gonna do, again, sorry, we're gonna duplicate the group. Now we have 2 groups. We're gonna take the bottom one, at least. We're gonna go in here and we're gonna erase, let me just do this. We're gonna erase this here for the bottom group. Now this is only specifically because we want multiple beetroots in the background. So right now this group alone has, you know, 1 beetroot. It's just the beetroot. Whereas this one, this top group has all the line art. So for this bottom group, all we're gonna do now is we're gonna shrink it, and we're gonna push it back here. There we go. And now shrink it a little bit more. Boom. And same process, duplicate that one, shrink it, layer it properly. Boom. Cool. Shrink it. Boom. Now we're cooking a little bit. So we have them separated to each individual layer right now. So what we can do now is we can take these two groups, the two backbeat roots that we have, and what we're gonna want to do actually is we're gonna want to. So what we can do is we can just make a layer underneath both of them. Right? There's a layer underneath both of them. It's this one. What we can do is take the line art for the leaf and then just kind of fill it in, and then just kind of connect it to the back here, because we can't, I don't care where I'm connecting it to, because this foreground beetroot is hiding that detail. Same thing over here. Just take that, and actually we do want to kind of connect it here. There we go, boom. And then to fill it in, I'm just gonna make another layer underneath, whatever. Actually, let me pause real quick. Ha-has, please. Alright, cool. So now we have the beetroots in the back as one layer. Cool. So for this specific shot, because all our shots are pretty much static shots, what we can do is we can combine all of our middle ground assets. So that would literally just be these backbeat roots, because these are now part of the middle ground, and the whole back part of the dirt, excluding the foreground assets, which is this beetroot and this little dirt mound detail here. So we're going to combine these two layers. We're just going to merge with layer below, and now it's one. Now what we can do, so for this specific shot, because the foreground itself is the dirt kind of goes into the foreground, we don't see that though. The only way we see that kind of detail of depth is with this bit, literally is these two dirt mounds right there. That alone, these two alone add the depth of where the dirt is, and with the beetroot too. So what we can do is, because the foreground line art is on its own separate layer, what we can do is take the whole middle ground, and we go up to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and then we're gonna go up by, let's say, about 10. It's a bit much. We're gonna go down to 7.40, whatever. Immediately we have so much depth. That is so nice looking. Now for the background, same thing. We're gonna go up here to filter, blur. Oh, I can't. Oh, sorry, can't blur it because it's a group. So what we're gonna want to do is merge the group. Boom, group merge. Now it's one single layer. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and then for this we can go up to 10 because it's way further back. It doesn't need to be at 7. We can bump it up to 10. Boom, looks pretty solid. Oh, actually, just kidding, scratch that. So go back before you merge the group, and one important thing to kind of keep note is, so I'm only using this for the example. So I'm going to take out this little piece here. How do I take you out? Cool. Now the sky, I'm separating the sky just for this example. So I'm going to go ahead, merge the group again without the blue sky, and then I'm going to go back up to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and then go up to 10. Boom. Okay, cool. So now, cool. This is a finished shot. This is a level 2 shot for me, in my opinion. What would bump it up to level 3 would be adding that just extra detail. So for extra detail, okay, we might have different opinions on level 2 and 3s. So this, for some of y'all, this might be level 3, just because of, like stuff like the highlights and a specific shading. I can see that. It just depends on what we do in terms of shading and lighting for what objects and how many too, because that can really complicate it. So I'm gonna say for the sake of this little tutorial, this is level 2, and what would bump it up to level 3 would be adding some detail to adding more detail to the shading. And what I mean by that is literally taking for the beetroot, taking the color, dropping the outline for the beetroot, and following that along the shadow, right? So now I think it adds a nice level of detail to it. It looks a little more stylistic in my opinion. It looked a lot better in a different version I did. Maybe if I also do it for the dirt. Let me pause it. Alright, well, now that I'm looking at it, all I did was I took the line art color and I just followed the outline of the shadows, so it's less cel shaded looking now. So I did for this leaf section, and I'm not the biggest fan of it. Might not even go this route. I in my head it looked a lot better, but thinking about it now, it would probably clutter up a typical average background. So we are not going to do that. We're not going to follow, disregard everything I literally just said about level 2s and 3s. This right here is a level 3 shot with shading, depth, lighting, all that included. This is a finished level 3. Why is this back here? Weird. Cool. So, what's gonna do? Okay. So, okay, cool. We have a finished finalized background. Only took us 52 minutes. Oh my god. One thing I wanted to show was in the Teams and Discord, I added the color palette for the nighttime stuff. That is a very specific. So the way I did that was, let me go back over here. Oh wait, actually I forgot. I'm an idiot. I have this. So the reason I added a day and night color palette here, it's little bits, was because for the night we can literally just color drop that. This is very important for the night scenes that I want us to keep in mind. What you're gonna want to do is this is why I separated the sky. I separated because of this. You make a layer, and then you literally just drop that sky blue in there. Actually, yeah, you drop that in there, and then what you do on top of that is you make a new layer above everything in the scene, above the foreground, everything, and you drop the same color in there. And what you do is you bring it down. You bring down the opacity to 40. That's what I brought it down to. It looked pretty good. And then you go up here to layers, click normal, and then you hit multiply. And boom. Look at that. Instant night sky. Instant nighttime. This took me so long to figure out a way that I liked it. And then you literally just go in here. Whoops. You literally just go in here. What? Where is it? Where's my stuff? There we go. You just kind of go in here. We'll probably have an asset, whatever, for stars or whatever. Cool. So now that's it. This is awesome. It's cool, right? We now have the same shot for daytime and nighttime. I'm still figuring out the colors for the afternoon shots, but that'll come eventually. We only really need it for like maybe one shot. Actually, we barely need that. What am I talking about? Whatever. We'll come across that. But that's nighttime. Done. This is finished. Finished background entirely. Level 3 background done. This shot isn't at night, obviously, but I want to show this process, the way that I do the nighttime shots for the backgrounds, because it's very difficult to kind of, at least for me, because I'm not good with colors, it's very difficult to color match for different times of day. So figuring this out was very satisfying for me. So okay, there you go. This is our finished. This is ready to go in the thing. And to keep in mind, we want to keep our layers separate. Our foreground, our middle ground, and then our background. We want to keep all of that separate. Just for the After Effects, for the editors, for the editing team. Just for whatever reason. And an additional thing we can do just to kind of be safe is when you have your middle ground, don't do what I did and automatically blur it. Make sure you make a backup of it, just so if you need to go back in and tweak it, you have an unblurred version of this background, of the middle ground at least, or any part, you know, mainly the middle ground. Just keep that in mind. Just have a background version, a backup version. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. So yeah. If you have any questions, obviously let me know. Let anybody on the team know. Let Danny know. But yeah, this is a very long and very detail-oriented background tutorial for Harvest Heist. And if we need another one for any specific or broad or backgrounds that are like a little more complicated, I'll make another one for that too. But for now, this is these tips can be applied to just about any background. So yeah, there you go. I'll upload this to my YouTube and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.